The Model A is leaking. I suspect either a blown manifold gasket or a blown muffler gasket. So we're going to change both today and take out the muffler, paint it, cut the tube and reroute it just because we can. The exhaust system on my Model A is quite the mess. It's supposed to end where the rear axle is, but mine is guided to the side and over the rear axle to end at a third clamp on the rear bumper. And that means you can't take it off without using an angle grinder. So I removed the bracket that clamped it to the bumper, removed the clamp that connected it to the manifold, and of course the bracket that clamped it to the frame, and then used said angle grinder to take the exhaust off and cut out a section this large to bring it back to how it should look. My attempts at welding it back together were mediocre at best. That's a lot of damage. And I had to hire a friend with the proper welding tool to get it back together. I meanwhile dealt with rust removal. The muffler pot was about the only part on the car that had rust on it, and I couldn't stand it. So I took my sweet time with a wire brush and sanding paper to get it clean enough to accept some paint, and painted it. With the rattle can, oh the rattle can, the rattle can, cause it makes the world feel good. Now this is cryogenic paint, best results achieved at 6 degrees centigrade, so that's exactly what I did. Waited until autumn and painted it when it was bitter cold for optimal results. Now it is time to actually deal with the manifold. You have to remove the air filter and the throttle and choke linkage to get it off, and that it's just 4 nuts which need removing. And the entire exhaust manifold slides off just like that, with the gasket soon following. Now I wanted to give the new gasket every chance it could take to seal, and therefore I took my sweet time cleaning the mating surface on the block. And I installed gland rings, which supposedly stop the manifold from drooping, which over time and with the heat going into it, they seem to tend to be doing. And of course I very well cleaned up the seating surface of the manifold itself and checked it against my windowsill for straightness, which it's not perfect, but it's good enough. That's what we have the gaskets for. Well, then it's 4 nuts back on, replace all the linkages, and I'm pretty sure that you all want to hear this engine running without an exhaust, so yeah, here we go. Okay, with that out of the way and the paint dry, we can replace the heat shield on the muffler and install it underneath the car the way it's supposed to go, without any sort of angle grinder welding attachment. It can be done on your own. It's a great help to have a second person align the front end at the manifold, but a hydraulic jack does just as well. So here's where I screwed up. I decided to mount an extra gasket between the muffler and the exhaust flange, and all that did was make the package larger, and after about an hour of fitting and fiddling with the clamp, I took it for a drive and the gasket shattered. The leak was back and strong, and well, what I did was take the whole lot apart again and refit it with some gasket maker high temp sealant, and that seems to have cured the issue. Now it's tight and nicely leak proof, as it has to be.